If they moved the thresholds, let's say they moved the thresholds by, from 12,500 to 20,000, which has been the main proposal, that would allow people to earn more money, to survive the cost of living, take a second job, whatever they have to do, without suffering tax on it. And that would allow people who are earning, say, 40,000, if that 50,000 went to 60 or 70, they could do likewise. They could find some ways to earn some more money in order to survive this dreadful cost of living crisis, which is, I'm sorry, it's government created at this point. They could have solved this long, long ago. They should move it up by, well, gosh, at least 4% would be sensible, since inflation is 4%. And they should start moving it in line with inflation. They should not reduce it when inflation falls to 2%. They should keep increasing it by 2%. But they have to realize, they must realize how they're strangling ordinary Brits and businesses. I challenge a lot of the Tory figures, and especially that they don't have the money accounted for. I've been saying for well over a year, since the first interest rate rise, that I think that they are building up a war chest to have a heck of a lot of money to give away some pretty significant tax cuts that Labour won't be able to match before the next general election. I think they've got loads of money. If you remember the November before last, Mr. Hunt used Project Fear, if you remember that during Brexit, Project Fear kind of tactics to scare the wits out of us about a 55 billion pound black hole. Now, two things about that. Those were the official government figures. Oh my God, we've got a 55 billion pound black hole. We've got to fill this. We're going to have 25 billion pounds of tax cuts, and we're going to have 30 billion pounds of cuts in services, police, education, NHS, military, etc. Well, he adopted the 25 billion of tax cuts, of stealth taxes. That's the stealth taxes we had that he introduced. And then a couple of days later, he said, we'll get to the 30 billion of cuts in services later. And you know what? It's never been heard from again. Never been mentioned, didn't happen. It was all a myth in Mr. Hunt's mind and Rishi's mind, I think. And a number of very prestigious think tanks came out and said, we've done a study here, and if Rishi and Hunt had calculated our national debt the way it's been done for a long time, including when Mr. Sunak was Chancellor, instead of how they've just converted to doing it now when they release these figures, we'd actually have a 13 billion pound surplus, not a 55 billion pound black hole. Well, sure, it'll have a big impact on the economy because any relief on households will actually get them spending again. Look at all the businesses that are failing because of lack of demand.